when you look at your past, oftentimes you can see a pattern, and you can see that one thing led to another thing that led to another.
You're listening to Inside Acting, a podcast dedicated to demystifying the inner and outer game of success in the entertainment industry. I'm Trevor Elgott.
And I'm AJ Meyer, and coming up in episode 283, part 1 of Trevor's chat with veteran actress, writer, and director Judyann Elder. Now, she's best known for her roles on TV shows such as Murphy Brown, Martin, and Family Matters, but she got her start decades ago on the stages of New York City. In part 1, Judyann takes us through those early, fruitful years, weaving stories of her success with lessons in conviction, commitment, and community. That and more coming up in episode 283. Stay with us.
Support for this episode of Inside Acting is brought to you in part by Rehearsal Pro, the current version of Rehearsal. That cracks me up that we always say the new version, and now it's the current version. It has been for some time. And guys, this is an essential app. It is a must-have tool for your toolbox, and it's now available in the iTunes App Store for your iOS device, whether that's an iPhone, an iPod Touch, or an iPad. You can get this app right now to help you learn your lines, be off book for auditions, explore your character, make stronger choices, and do some more cool stuff that's still in the pipeline. Go to rehearsal.pro/IAP right now to learn all about these kick-ass features in this current version of Rehearsal. It is a groundbreaking app, and you will turn to it every single time you get a call to go in the room, because after you use it just once and kill it in the room, you'll be like, how did I live without this thing? Check it out. rehearsal.pro/IAP.
Hey Trevor, happy 4th of July, buddy. How was your holiday? We took a week off in celebration of the birth of our nation.
Yeah, it was all right. And you did something cool though. You were up in Big Bear.
Yes, I think I probably have talked about this on the podcast before, but the 4th of July is actually Jasmine's birthday. And so being Australian, it's as if the U.S. has been throwing her this big party on her birthday every year for the last 8 years that she's been here. So it's always kind of fun, and we have to get creative usually to figure out what we're going to do, because most places are, busy or, only celebrating the holiday or whatever. So it was nice to be able to get out of town, did some hiking. Ben Whitehair joined us. Gadali Vubrick, our marketing web director, was up there with us. My sister came. It was a good time. We did a big hike, saw some fireworks, America. Ate some stuff.
Awesome, man. Hey, and speaking of Jasmine, she's offering something pretty sweet to our members. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so if you are in the IAP membership, Jasmine is offering 30 minutes of one-on-one coaching for her mid-year review and renew goal setting. You can email her if you're one of our members at jasminebristow@gmail.com and set up a time. And of course, the nice thing about doing it one-on-one is you don't have to be in Los Angeles. So if you're listening to this, you're a member with us, and you'd like to take advantage of 30 minutes of free coaching, you can do that. It's basically a one-on-one version of the goal setting group that she did. What was it? 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah. Now, is this via email, via phone, via Skype, in person, or all of the above, whatever's easiest?
I guess whatever's easiest, but of course you probably prefer over the phone or over some kind of FaceTime, like a Skype or FaceTime or...
Awesome.
Google, what's it called? Google Meet. Google has a new thing now. The Google Hangout went away, and it became this new thing called Google Meet or something like that.
Meet. M-E-E-T.
M-E-E-T, not M-E-A-T. Yeah, it is. It's called Google Meet. M-E-E-T.
Well, I assumed as much, but you kind of never know, because the current the current name for real life is called meatspace. M-E-A-T space.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's what people call.
What do you mean real life?
Like real life. Like if you and I were to hang out in person, like you were to come over and hang out, we would be meeting in meatspace.
Wait, what? Who made this rule up?
The internet says this. It must be
God.
a new rule, right? It's a new thing.
Is this one of these like weird internet slangs that make me feel like I'm super old?
Dude, yeah, I won't even. I have to look so much shit up every day just to be like, what does this abbreviation stand for? What does that word mean? I put on my glasses and everything. It's bad, man. It's bad. The kids these days.
Like,
I don't know. I looked up and I cannot relate anymore to the younger generation. Like, I just can't do it. It's funny. I at some point I crossed that line where I veered into old person territory, and I look at the kids and I'm like, wow, wow.
I veered into old person territory. Did you see that post that I posted the other day about call waiting?
I don't think so. What would you post?
Coworker came up to me the other day.
I did.
5 years younger than me. And he goes, "What's call waiting?"
Oh, God.
And I was like, I have to go home. I can't.
Blame it on the system, man. Okay.
I need to lie down and take a nap. I mean, it's great that we don't have to deal with it anymore. Absolutely. Just like it's great we don't have to deal with darkness anymore. Thanks, Tesla. I'm just saying, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
we just dated ourselves big time.
No. What's going on? What else is going on in the membership? We've got no segue. I'm just like, get off the subject. Yeah, right. We're in week 7 of The Prosperous Heart, right?
Yeah. This chapter is all about forgiveness this week. And I kind of fell off the wagon for a week there. I was just a few days behind, but I'm caught up on all the reading and the exercises. And I got to say, this book is bringing up some stuff for me. A lot of the forgiveness stuff. It just, Julia Cameron knows what she's talking about. And these exercises, they only work if you do them, so it takes some time. But I was just going through and completing them one by one. And I'm getting really upset. Like, wait, what I'm uncovering, because I'm like, oh, this is what's really going on when it comes to not just financial abundance, but any kind of abundance in my life. And I'm not saying that, you need to do this kind of thing to connect to some, I'm not saying we're all damaged, I guess, but it's been very powerful for me, and I know for the people that are still with us. So it's never too late to jump in. You can pick up the book anytime and hop into the membership and see what people are talking about. Share your own journey, share your story, bring up anything at all that you want to discuss. We are an open, safe space, and it's been a real process of discovery for me. I am feeling a lot of resistance to it, predictably, because it's difficult, but that's how you know it's working, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you continue to push forward through the resistance is, a testament to your self-awareness and your willingness to do the work. But you're right. The fact that there's resistance coming up at all in the first place is telling. It's something to be aware of.
Yeah. And then we're also still doing the Working Wednesday hashtag on Twitter. It's always really cool to see what listeners are doing on their Wednesdays, whether it's reviewing a script or actually in the waiting room at an audition or driving to or from somewhere in hair and makeup and costume, whatever you are doing on Wednesday. Snap a photo, drop a little description in there, and tag it with Working Wednesday on Twitter, and we will retweet it. It's just really cool to see what people are up to and connect with the community. Just wanted to drop a reminder in about that. Anything crazy cool or crazy going on in your world?
Crazy cool or crazy? I like those 2 categories. That's it.
I just came up with that just now. You can have that, by the way.
That's the bifurcation. Free. All right, thanks. I'll take it to the bank, buddy. Crazy cool or crazy? It was a pretty. I don't know how to say it. It wasn't busy. It was impactful. Couple of weeks. Obviously had some time off for the holiday or whatnot, but did get my new headshots finally retouched and published, which was nice. So I'm starting to upload those to the various electronic submission sites.
They're killer, by the way. If anybody listening I'm sorry to cut you off, dude, but they are really good headshots. You're the best headshots you've ever taken, and they're so specific. For an ethnically ambiguous guy, these are very specific headshots. I think you're going to see some great results.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I've been getting great feedback, and I'm really excited about them. I'm really excited to have my reps start using them. Shout out to my friend John Wickersham, who moved to Atlanta to try out that regional market. So if you're in Atlanta and looking for headshots, let me know, and I'll get you two hooked up. He's fantastic. But had that, and then also had a meeting with my manager that was nice. We actually hadn't sat down in meatspace. Since
it is kind of gross, isn't it?
It feels so dirty.
Yeah.
We hadn't sat down in meatspace until since I got back from New York, so that was really great. I do want to say I didn't think about this until I started talking about these headshots. I need to talk about how terrible the electronic submissions websites are. Like, I don't know what to do about this, and I feel like starting some kind of mass protest or petition or something, starting with our listeners, like leading this movement or this charge. But they are so awful, like ridiculously terrible, and they charge actors so much money because they know they can rake us over the coals because they're kind of the only game in town. I'm speaking specifically of LA Casting, Casting Frontier, and Actors Access. It's insane how terrible these websites are. It took me, I kid you not, something like 3.5 or 4 hours to upload 3 headshots to LA Casting and Casting Frontier because of how terrible their website is, how terrible the user interface is, how long it takes to upload a single headshot, how confusing the pricing structure is. You can't delete photos off of LA Casting. You can only add photos.
Yeah, that's always driven me fucking crazy.
It is insane. And you're making all this money. Why not take it and invest it back into the website itself to improve it? Where is the money going? Is it just going to the people who own it? Are they just skimming this money off the top and then charging actors all this money because they can? I can post my headshots on Facebook for free. I can email them for free. I can text them for free. I can put them up in so many different places for free, but they charge because they offer a service where my agent can submit me to a breakdown. It's ridiculous. And it's so bad, and this is like the thing that really finally got my blood boiling, and I actually screenshotted this and sent it to Ben Whitehair so that he could forward it along to the SAG-AFTRA leadership. But I went into my profile to update some other stuff and update my headshots. And under union affiliation, I was like, oh, hey, I'm SAG-AFTRA now. I wasn't the last time I was logged into LA Casting. I'll go and change that. SAG and AFTRA are still listed separately 5 years. 5 years after the merger. Are you kidding me? Where is the money going? Who is getting the money that actors are paying to upload their stuff to these websites? As you can probably tell, I'm pretty animated about this, and animated is a nice way of saying pissed off. Like, I cannot believe it's like a scam. It's like a professional scam, and it's insane. I'm so angry about it, and I screenshot it and I sent it to Ben. He's going to forward it along to some of the SAG-AFTRA leadership. I guess they've been working on it with him. I'm like, well, clearly they don't give two shits about the union or the actors represented by the union. They're just a business, like this business leech sucking money out of the side of the industry because they're this between representation or / actor and casting director.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I can take a breath now and get off my soapbox.
No, I'm with you, man. And it's exceptionally shitty because, like you said, they're the only game in town. Like, they have the market cornered. Like, there's no incentive for them to put money into improving the infrastructure if it already works, quote unquote works. Like, if it gets the job done, if it connects party A with party B, and every agent, manager, intern, like person who works on those sites every day, you know, submitting actors to jobs and using the platforms to interface with, you know, various whatevers. They all say the same thing. They all complain incessantly about how shitty it is.
Yeah. My reps, I complained to my manager. She was like, believe me, all of your reps hate them too.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if this is just in LA. I mean, the LA ones they have not been updated since I moved out to LA. I mean, I think LA Casting got one overhaul, and Casting Frontier is one of the new ones that was sort of born that I saw sort of come to the fore since my time here. But they haven't really evolved at all. Like, nothing is different about the process or the technology or the speed or the pricing. Like you said, the pricing is really confusing, and also, like, it's just shitty. It's just, they just nickel and dime people. Like, what is it on LA Casting? And part of me is like, oh, they're going to hear this and blackball us. I'm like, I don't care.
Who cares? Yeah, seriously. Bring it.
Yeah. What is like $25 to switch out your main headshot, and then like $10 for additional headshots, but the first one is $25 whether it's your main headshot or not. And then like you said, you can't delete them. You can't even like archive or yeah, you're right. It is a total headache. But then like your skill clips or whatever, I think, are free. And then your monthly membership is like different depending on whether or not you're represented or not. But there's also a free tier, and now you got me going, dude. Because
I told you,
and there were back when I was doing commercial auditioning and stuff, they do have like a kiosk, I guess, like a manned kiosk or they did at 200 South La Brea, so you could actually go in and talk to a real person.
Yep, I remember that.
I went in several times to talk to somebody. Those people are not helpful. I'm sorry. They were kind of jerks, and they weren't interested in like making the experience pleasant for actors. It was just, yeah, I'm with you, dude. I felt very much like a barcode, like a number, like another way to sort of line someone's pockets at the company.
Yeah,
and it sucks because we all have. If you're doing commercials, that's just the way it is. You're stuck with them. So hopefully some other, game comes into town and just demolishes, those sites as they exist right now, and actually, build some goodness into them somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know how to solve the problem. I honestly don't. All I know how to do, like I said, is rail against it.
And I think getting into the in front of the eyes of the leadership at SAG-AFTRA is a really good step. I mean, you said they've been working with them, but I think the more messages they get from actors like this saying like, this is a shit situation, can we please fix this? I think the faster it'll happen.
Oh, well, I hope so. Anyway, deep breaths, everyone. And if anyone has any additional information or insight, please send us an email or call us, 213-2-ACTORS. Well, we do have a question we want to get to from our listener Sam in Chicago. He's going to be moving out to LA soon. But before we jump into that, of course, want to hear from our sponsor, vo2gogo.com, the award-winning voiceover training system and winner of Backstage's Reader's Choice Award for Best VO Training 4 years in a row. You can visit vo2gogo.com/start for a free Getting Started in Voiceover online class that'll help you add voiceover to your acting portfolio. That's VO as in voiceover, the number 2, gogo.com/start.
Yeah, we just had a longtime listener, Gabigail, I think is her username on Twitter or Instagram, and she just signed up for vo2gogo, and she was like, "Why did I wait so long?" I think once she logged in and when she saw like what it was all about, it was just like, whoa! I mean, it is a treasure trove. It is everything you need to go from zero to hero, like David says. So, just wanted to drop that in there. It's worth it. Hashtag worth it. So we do have this question from Sam, and like you said, AJ, he wrote us a longer email about some of his sort of backstory, but the core of it is this. He says, "I have no training, and all the work I have done in Chicago means nothing as going toward SAG. I want to take some classes, but I'm on a limited budget, and Chicago has plenty of theaters, but with the exception of Second City, the schooling is spotty at best. I am moving to LA with my family soon, and I was wondering, should I include these featured roles on my sickly and sad resume? And do casting directors really consider webinars and the such seriously? I want to make a serious go of this. I'm reading every book I can and listening to all the podcasts. Any help would be appreciated. Thanks, guys. So, Sam, thank you for writing in. Thank you for, as always, I'm always honored. Just to be on the receiving end of a call for help. It is tough to ask for help. Of course, we don't want to beat ourselves up. Referring to your resume as sickly and sad is funny, but everybody starts somewhere. There's nothing to be ashamed of in that, and there's a lot to learn in the industry. So be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself, Sam. So a few things I think we want to clarify, AJ. You and I were talking about this before we started recording. There's a few things that aren't quite clear here, and I think the big two that jump out is that, Sam, when you refer to featured roles on your resume, we're assuming you're talking about extra roles. Featured is the sort of industry parlance for being an extra. So instead of writing like, I was an extra on such and such a show or such and such a film, you write featured, and then you put in the name of the production. So we're assuming that that's kind of what you're going for. And then also, when you say webinars, we weren't quite sure if you were talking about a web series, like you appeared in a web series as an actor, or this is a webinar that is some sort of like acting training, whether it's a business training or an online acting class or a voiceover class or something like that, whether that's what you're talking about and whether that is training you should put on your resume. So we're going to kind of respond to this as best we can, as quickly as we can, based on what we understand of the industry and this email. So let's start at the beginning. I want to take some classes. I'm on a limited budget. Chicago has plenty of theaters, but with the exception of Second City, the schooling is spotty at best. So I'm curious, Sam, if you're looking for a name school to put on your resume, or you're just looking for experience? Because you say there are plenty of theaters and you want to take classes, but Second City is the only sort of reputable school, and all the other schools are spotty, you say. In my experience, 14 years in this industry and many before I moved to LA, experience is the best teacher. Classes are great, but nothing trumps getting on stage, getting in front of people, and just practicing. Put yourself in front of an audience of some kind as often as you can, and you will get better. And when you're not in front of an audience, be reading plays. That was some advice given to me by a college professor, and you actually do become a better actor just by absorbing the words of a playwright or a screenwriter in a script. So that's the first response I would offer. I wanted to toss it to you, AJ. Any thoughts there?
In terms of the classes specifically, not really. I mean, I think you hit it. If he does mean webinars as in online classes as opposed to web series, then I would just say, to answer that part of his question where he says, do casting directors really take them seriously? Yeah, if it's with a reputable, known teacher or school, yeah, of course they're going to take it seriously. Resumes are all about name recognition. Remember, the resume is never, ever, ever, ever once booked an actor a job. Never once has a resume booked an actor a job. What a resume does is get an actor in the room. So if there's some kind of name recognition there, then it might there's a chance it might get you called in, possibly. But it's never booked somebody a job. So that was the only sort of one little tidbit that I would add on to everything that you said, Trev.
Okay, cool. I'm just looking through his email here, and I'm trying to figure out how else we can respond to anything else here.
Well, I think the other things I would address, he says that he was featured, and we're not sure what that means. If you were a featured extra, you should have, in fact, received union, what are they called? SAG-AFTRA vouchers. And after 3 of those, you should be able to turn those into SAG-AFTRA and be considered SAG-AFTRA eligible. So if you said you've been featured twice on Chicago Fire and once on Chicago PD and Chicago Med, like you should. I don't know why you're saying that it doesn't mean anything as in terms of going towards your SAG-AFTRA eligibility, because it should. So that concerns me a bit. It makes me wonder how you're being used on these sets. And makes me want to say to you, like, you should be reaching out to your local regional SAG-AFTRA representation or union office. I know they have one in Chicago, and I know that they have a local, and I know that they're going to have people out there who can help you. So get online, figure out who those people are, and get in touch with them. Because, for instance, you said you were picked out of holding by the stunt coordinator for some motorcycle light stunts. Like, if you don't have the protection of the union in doing stuff like that, it's really dangerous. This is some of the other stuff that Trevor didn't read in the email, but I'm just sort of tying it together with what he was saying about the featured, the word featured. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, Sam, you've been on sets, which is a really great thing to share with casting directors and agents and managers and anybody in the industry. If they can see that you are experienced on a set, that you know when to talk, you know when to be quiet, you know what go back to one means, like if you know your way around a set, that is a huge asset. Because in my experience, and again, this is just my experience, but that is one of the most important things, is that when people hire you, they are certain that you are not going to be a problem on set, meaning you're not going to be high maintenance, you're not going to be confusing, you're not going to be a time suck, asking for directions, asking too many questions, not knowing what things mean. So just absolutely, those TV shows you've been on, even if you're just a background person, absolutely put them on your resume, because that shows that you've learned a thing or two and you know your way around. So just wanted to drop that in there. That's really, really important.
I would play devil's advocate on that one specifically. I was actually going to say to not put them on your resume. Maybe change it after you get representation here in LA. So if it says, like what you were saying, Trevor, about saying featured, people know what that means. So that would be the way to list it. But after you're actually represented, you have representation. I doubt that your agent or manager or whatever would want you to continue to have that stuff on your resume, because it's not really going to I don't know that it would help you get a job. So I would actually disagree with it there. It might help you get representation because, like, oh, sorry about that. That was my phone falling. Like I was saying, it might help you get representation because, like you were saying, Trevor, they might see that you have on-set experience, and that's a great thing. But I don't know that it's going to help with getting an audition, essentially.
Yeah, good clarification for sure. All right, Sam, hope that helps. Thanks for the question. If there's anything we misinterpreted or didn't touch on that you'd like to hear more about, please feel free to follow up. Very honored as always to field these kind of things. Thank you so much for listening and for writing in and asking what we think. Always very cool. Anything else to add, AJ, before we jump into part 1 here with Judyann?
No, let's do it, man.
All right, guys. So part 1 of my chat with Judyann, what's really cool about this whole interview, there's 2 parts. Part 1 today is about 25 minutes. The second part's a bit longer. But it's just a cool sort of perspective. And you can really see that the things that really, there's some cool stories and some cool sort of historical call-outs and things like that. It's just really fun to listen to. But the things that drive success in this career haven't changed. I mean, Judyann started her career back in like the late 60s, and her mindset and her conviction and the community that she drew on for support and resources and things, that is all just as true right now today, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, as it ever has been. So I just wanted to kind of be listening for that as you listen to this, because I just think it's really cool to have an ear for that part of it as you hear her tell her stories. And as you'll also hear, her mindset was everything. That's a huge part of why she's enjoyed such an illustrious career. So enough of a preface there. Enjoy part 1 with Judyann, guys. We'll catch you on the other side. Hey everybody, this is Trev, and I'm really excited to be sitting across the table from actress, writer, and director Judyann Elder, whom you have absolutely seen somewhere along the way on something. She's a very prolific veteran stage and screen actress, also a writer and a director. Best known for roles on Murphy Brown, Martin, and Family Matters, so a lot of good sitcom stuff, but tons and tons of stage work as well, and film work with people like Billy D. Williams, Cicely Tyson, Billy Crystal, Will Smith. So we have a lot to chat about today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Well, thank you.
So we usually like to start at the very beginning and just hear how you sort of fell into all this stuff. I mean, a career in the entertainment industry is not necessarily the sanest choice. So what was it that had you choose this and not, real estate investment or something?
Oh, no, clearly I had this dream, literally. As a child, my parents took me to the movies all of the time. And they knew what I wanted to do, so they encouraged that. Now, of course, what we saw in the film had very little reflection of people like me, of African American people. There were a few, but it was rare. So I've often been asked, how could you even wish for that when you didn't see you that frequently? And I said, well, quite honestly, my parents taught me to be a citizen of the world. And I simply thought I would be like Doris Day. It's as simple as that. My brothers and I were encouraged to, participate in art forms in all kinds of ways, whether it was music, film, stage. So we were guided along those lines. Neither of them chose something like this. My older brother's an architect, and the other brother eventually went into seminary and dabbles in writing. But I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And by the time I got into high school, I was doing a lot of plays.
Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, you grew up in, I think, Cleveland, right?
Cleveland.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a hotbed of the performing arts.
Well, that's not really true. There's a Cleveland Playhouse, which is renowned.
But it's definitely not New York or LA.
Caramel. No, it was none of those things. Yeah. However, I was in every play and that I could get into, and I loved it. By the time I was ready to graduate, actually prior to that, I made it clear that I wanted to major in theater. Of course, that didn't really please them. They were hoping this would somehow go away. My older brother was at Amherst, and he knew of my interests, and he suggested that I apply to Emerson in Boston. So that's what I did. And, of course, I went to college there in Boston. And I was steeped in theater.
So you studied
I was
drama.
a theater major. Yes, that's what I studied. And I had a great time at Emerson. I learned a lot, and it was so interesting because my high school drama teacher eventually came to Emerson to teach.
Well, that's serendipitous.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
And at any rate, it was a great experience for me. I was able to cultivate some friendships with some very, very interesting people. Spalding Gray and I were good friends. He was an upperclassman. We did a lot. We did 2 plays together outside of school, two character pieces, and he was a really terrific friend. We did things at school. We did Moliere and other pieces together, and I'm so frustrated because I had kept some of the letters that he wrote over the years to me, and I wanted his sons to see it after his passing. I can't find the letter, but he talked about why he wanted to be an actor. And I am still searching for that letter. But at any rate, that was encouraging. And he also had done work at the Theater Company of Boston. And he suggested, when they were looking for a character, and apparently their contract was such that they could get a non-equity actor in one of these roles, and he suggested that they audition me. And the play was Funny House of a Negro by Adrienne Kennedy. It just so happened that Adrienne's mother and my mother were best friends.
How about that? There's an in for you.
But at any rate, it was a great experience. I loved doing it. And that was my first connection with, professionals, really. Mm-hmm. And after that, I continued. That was my sophomore year. Then junior, Spud dropped out of school. By the time I was a senior, I knew that I'd have to make use of this degree in some way or the other. Well, it just so happened at graduation that I received an award. It was the first Carol Burnett Award in the performing arts. And I was the recipient, and let me tell you, there were some people there who were wonderful in my class. I mean, Henry Winkler was in my class.
Really?
And he was a terrific actor. He is.
Right.
Really and truly. And, his career shows it. So, at any rate.
I do want to pause for just a moment, because I think your first official credit on IMDb is, I think, 1968 or so.
Yeah, for television.
Yeah. So you were active in theater, and theater is so often indicative of larger social movements. And that was a different time than it is right now.
Oh, well, the Vietnam War was going on when I was in college.
So I'm curious, because our perspectives are so different, not only because of the age difference, but also the demographics.
Right.
What obstacles did you come up against, if any, in pursuing this or telling these stories as a woman that's also a minority in that time?
In that environment in Boston, also, especially with the plays that I did off campus.
Yeah.
That had been brainwashed from me. I was taught that I am capable to do anything that I'm prepared to do.
So it was never even a conversation.
Well,
in your mind?
There were conversations because my friends and I, my dearest friends, they're my friends I went to college with. We would protest, we would march, we did all kinds of things. I mean, we were politically aware, not as aware as I should have been, but my daughter teases me because the letters that I have that I sent home to my mother were always requesting this dress and that dress. That sounds so frivolous. And my daughter says, did you not know that there was a war going on in Vietnam? At any rate, yes, I did. So it was a changing world. And certainly, I mean, after the assassination of Kennedy, whom I adored, as did everyone, that was... And I remember I was sleeping in the dorm, taking a nap, and I got up and I heard all this crying, and I went downstairs. It was horrible. And we had only seen him shortly before that because, he was in Boston and there was what do you call it?
Motorcade?
Yeah, motorcade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we were all out there waving.
Yeah. Did it ever cross your mind that, gosh, maybe I can't do this? Maybe I don't have what it takes? Or was it always that rock-solid belief that was installed?
No,
from
I
childhood?
didn't hold that belief. Because I got a lot of encouragement at Emerson. And that the summer before I went to school, and in Boston alone, but I had a lot of Southerners at Emerson also. And I had gone that summer before I went to Emerson to the March on Washington, where Dr. King spoke, which was an extraordinary experience.
I can imagine.
It was extraordinary.
And you also, I believe, played Coretta Scott King.
Later. These things
opposite Billy DeMille. Look at that.
Came back together. These things just, when you look at your past, oftentimes you can see a pattern, and you can see that one thing led to another thing that led to another thing. So by the time I graduated, as I said, and received this award, the press agent for the Negro Ensemble Company that was assembling was there because he was, first of all, he had attended Emerson, but secondly, he was representing... He was Edward Albee's press agent, and he was Edward Albee was receiving an award, and that was why he was there. Okay, so when I received the award after the graduation ceremony, he came up to me and said, "Would you be interested in auditioning for the Negro Ensemble Company?" I was aware of it and its trajectory to be formed, and I said, "Of course, yes, definitely." And he gave me his card and so forth and so on, and he said he let me know when the auditions would be, and it would be arranged. So, of course, my parents were there at graduation, and their expectation was what I had initially put in their heads, that after graduation I was going to come to California. Mm-hmm. And I said, I've changed my mind because this is an extraordinary opportunity, so I need to go to New York. Okay, so they said fine. And I went to New York, and I auditioned, and they wouldn't know for about 2.5 months or so who the company would be.
So it was 2.5 months between your audition and the time you found out whether or not this was going to be a thing.
Exactly.
So, okay, I have to ask, How did you support yourself in the interim?
Well, one of my brothers was living in New York, the one that was in seminary, so I knew I could stay with him. Okay. And my parents said, well, my father gave me an American Express card, and he said, this is for emergencies only.
Famous last words.
And only. And not anything, trivial. Mm-hmm. And I didn't abuse it. But my mother said, and yes, dear, if you have to be there for 2.5 months, you need to get a job. And she was not kidding. Now here I am in New York City, thinking I'm Mary Tyler Moore. I said, what can I do? I couldn't even type. I had no practical skills. I had once had a job in high school as a receptionist for a law firm. That was it. Oh, I worked while I was in school one summer when I stayed there, and in a department store. So those were my skills. Okay, that was something. So I'm walking down the street, and I don't know what I thought, that I'd see a sign out saying help wanted or what. And I looked up, and I saw this tall building with these rabbit ears on it. And it was a Playboy Club. I said, I bet I can do that.
Do that, meaning do what? I have to... What was going through your mind?
I could be a bunny.
Oh, all right.
And I mean, how hard is that? So I didn't have anything to lose, I thought. And so I walked in, and I said, I'm interested in becoming a bunny. And I asked, what would it pay? And the bunny mother said, well, let's first put you into a costume. Okay. And then if we proceed, we'll discuss that. So I went and put on the bunny thing. And came back out, and it was just she and I. And she said, you're hired. Wow. And I said, great. And the money seemed that it would be, quite reasonable for my needs. I had to go into training.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what exactly did you do in the bunny costume?
Well, first of all,
for 2.5 months.
First of all, the musts were you had to wear stilettos. You had this little costume, right? It was actually innocent compared to things now. It really and truly was. But you had to have a little bunny tail. Back there. And you had to make up. You had to wear false eyelashes. And you had to learn how to do all of these things. Since you all are probably millennials, you don't know anything about cocktail waitresses, do you? Do you? Not really, do you?
I mean, I don't know specifically what you're referring to.
Well, are there a lot of places that have people walking around with trays and doing the bunny dip? Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, that's what I had to learn how to do in the 2 weeks of training.
Okay.
And that was considered a very exclusive club.
Wow.
Extremely exclusive.
And was that was the full 2.5 months before you found out you were going to be part of the ensemble?
That's right, and I made a lot of money. And that was from tips, really. And it was terribly innocent. My father was he was just, oh please, a college education for this.
Right.
And my mother said, well, you have to understand this is kind of form of show business. And they were very interesting people, but they were very conservative. Not politically, but in how things should be handled.
Sure. So you found out then about 2.5 months into that gig,
Yes.
I assume that you were going to be part of the
I
ensemble.
got the call that I would be in the company.
That's amazing. And that was obviously a paid thing.
Not only was it paid, it was 365 days out of the year.
Wow.
That was unheard of. And this was an assemblage of black actors, writers, directors. We studied with Paul Mann. We studied dance. We studied karate. With Kristen Linklater for voice. I mean, which was really, really extraordinary. And it allowed us to develop a style of acting. Mm-hmm. And it was just extraordinary. And I was loving every single minute of it. And there were people that I had heard of, like Moses Gunn, who was a great actor, who eventually I would work with on Broadway when Billy had to leave in I Have a Dream. But we worked together at the NEC with Rosalind Cash, with Frances Foster, with Denise Nicholas and Hattie Winston. The three of us are the only women left from the original company. Esther Roll, please don't let me forget anyone. Clarice Taylor. These are all really historically brilliant actors. And it was at the Negro Ensemble Company that I met my first husband. My maiden name was Johnson, which I had to change for equity. Because there's a Judith Johnson. No, there's a Judith Johnson. I said, how about Judy? No, whatever. I couldn't do it. So I changed my name to Judyann Johnson, Jonnsson. So it was Judyann Hansen, because everybody would make jokes. They called me the kid. And the kid is, Swedish or something. I don't know. But at any rate. But it was great. And we worked with incredible composer Coleridge Taylor Perkins. Everything was it was an unbelievable gift from God.
I was going to use that exact same word. What a gift to
That's right.
Roll out of a great program at Emerson almost straight into a 365 day per year gig with a really wonderful ensemble, getting just further training. So it's almost like that was your grad school.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah. And as I was saying, I met my first husband there because he was the and the father of my children, head of the playwrights division. And long story short, after my tenure there, during my tenure there, and with the whole company went to Europe, which was for the World Theatre Festival, which was extraordinary. The first play we did was The Song of the Lusitanian Bogie, which was about apartheid in South Africa, and taking it to London was extraordinary.
Yeah, I bet.
It was extraordinary.
Yeah.
So, and we also went to Rome, and we toured the country. At any rate, it was a great experience. And
how long was your tenure with them when you say
it was 2 years.
Wow, and was that a contract that you signed, or was it just
No,
sort of like
it was ongoing. It was ongoing. At any rate, Lonnie and I got married. Lonnie Elder III. And after that, I resigned from the company. We were going to have our family, and we were living in New York. He had had a lot of success with the play that he wrote, Ceremonies and Dark Old Men. And he was nominated for a Pulitzer, and he got a lot of attention as a result of that. and it had moved to another theater in New York. I did another play in New York then, but I was not going to do the 364. I was, my life was changing. We had, in New York, my oldest son is my stepson. My middle child is my son, Christian, and he was born in New York. We were living in this apartment building. It was very nice, but the concierge was always drunk. And you could call down and he would be drunk. And we were sitting in our living room with my parents shortly after Christian was born. And we could hear this jingling at the door. This jingling, and my husband went and looked out, and there was someone with all the keys trying to get into the apartment. And that's when we made the decision, we're moving.
Wow.
We're moving. Now, we had been to California that summer, and my husband came out here to do some work on Universal and some other things. And we were such, New York snobs by then. Oh, I can't wait to get back to New York. This place is so clean. It has no depth to it. It's Tinseltown. And we went back. We got off the plane, and then and then Christian was born in New York, and then that incident happened, and we said, we're leaving. Mm-hmm. And we came to California. And he'd been offered a film and a television show of some kind. I guess it's so long ago. But at any rate, we settled in here. I was just enjoying life with my child and California and our little house with its picket fence. I liked all of that.
What part of town?
It was in North Hollywood.
Hey folks, welcome back from the interview. I'm really excited to hear this. As I said many episodes ago, I was not able to attend this interview, so I'm excited to hear it. Along with all of you. And Trev, do you have a debrief for us, or is that more of a part 2 thing?
There's some cool stuff in part 2. As you heard, we sort of left this conversation right as she was moving to LA. But nothing to debrief that I didn't say right before. It's just the things that the timeless sort of principles to be listening for. So, awesome. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. What is I'm looking at it, your pick of the week. Tell us about this, because this is something I enjoyed a lot. Yeah.
So longtime listeners of the podcast may remember that one of my favorite authors is Michael Crichton. May he rest in peace. One of the last novels that he published before he passed away is this novel called Prey, Prey. And it is essentially a cautionary, much in the same way that Jurassic Park is a cautionary tale in sort of genetic manipulation. This is a cautionary tale in the world of nanotechnology. And I haven't finished it yet, but I bought it like probably years and years and years ago off the shelf when I always like to pick up his books whenever I find them. And I just, for some reason, I've never read it, and so I started reading it just a couple days ago, and I've already burned through half the book. I'll probably finish it in the next day or two. It is a page turner, just like all of his other books, and I'm really enjoying it. So that is my pick of the week this week, Prey by Mr. Michael Crichton.
Awesome. And that was one of the first, I remember exactly where and when I picked that book up. I was brand new to LA, and I was just wandering around Barnes & Noble to kill some time, and I saw that book on the shelf. Well, not on the shelf, it was like one of those tables where it was like by buy 2 get 1 free, or like discount books or whatever, or like pre-read or whatever. It was $1.99 for that book, and it was a hardcover, and I snatched it up and I read it like you. I read it like so quickly. It was like a 2 or 3 day thing, and I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good book.
That's awesome. That makes sense, because you said how long you been in LA? 14 years?
14 years, yeah.
Yeah, because it was published in 2002. So like it makes sense, like the timing makes perfect sense. That's funny.
I got to ask before we move on, what is your favorite Michael Crichton book?
That's tough, because I actually have indeed read almost all of them. I think I know it's probably going to be cliche, but I'm going to have to say Jurassic Park. It's so different from it's actually really different from the movie. Both Jurassic Park and The Lost World are very different from the films that followed them. And that was the first one I ever read of his, and it just like, I don't know. It's so good. It's such like the pace of he's one of those writers where like, I always remember the way that J.K. Rowling would describe Harry and Ron and Hermione's lungs burning because they were running. She spent a lot of time talking about how much pain those children were experiencing trying to fight Voldemort. There was something very visceral and anxiety causing about those moments in those books, and Michael Crichton is very good at those moments. Like you can feel yourself, your skin, like you get goosebumps, your heart starts pounding, you start sweating. You know, it's like it's probably not good for your health, really. And just the pacing of that book was just incredible. It's also a page. If you've never read Jurassic Park, by the way, you should totally, even if you're very familiar with the film, which I am, I would recommend reading that book. It's such a good book.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite Michael Crichton?
Oh yeah, Sphere, hands down.
I knew you were going to say Sphere. I should have guessed. I should have said, hang on, let me guess, because I had a feeling that was going to be your favorite.
Yeah, I haven't loved all of his books. I remember reading the Andromeda Strain and some of his other earlier ones, and I was always kind of like, I was reading them because they were by Michael Crichton, not because I really wanted to read them. But Sphere was one of those books.
That was Airframe for me. Yeah. I read Airframe because it said Michael Crichton on it.
I read Airframe too, and I was like, But dude, Sphere was like, that's top 10 for me, top 10 sci-fi books of all time. And the movie was good, but it didn't do it justice. The book was freaking phenomenal, so good. Yeah.
It's hard with film to like get, you're relying heavily on the director's vision and the actor's, talent. Not that, oh my God, the cast in that movie is fantastic, but I'm just saying, like, in order to get the sort of psychological details that an author can put into their characters, it's really challenging. It's one of the reasons why books are so much better than the film adaptation. But yeah, that book is intense. That actually might be my second favorite.
Yeah, it's a good one. And you really hit it on the head. How he writes those moments of suspense are everything. I mean, every author and novelist has their strengths, and that is definitely one of his. You're there in the moment. You're, like you said, your skin like tightens up with the tension of the moment. He knew what he was doing, that guy.
That guy knew what he was doing.
I read that as he would get closer to finishing a book, he would actually rent a hotel room and go and stay in the hotel room for a couple weeks away from his family as he finished the book, because what he needed to do, and I hope I'm not screwing this up, but this is how I remember it when I read about it. What he would do is he would get up progressively earlier in the day, because he did his best writing when he was sort of in that in-between state of just having woken up but not yet, into the day. So there's like an hour or so of that sort of soft part of that transition, and that's when he did his best writing, and he needed to get up early and earlier to keep surprising his body, to keep himself in that phase. And it would just drive his wife crazy, he said. So he would go stay in a hotel and do that as he was getting to the last weeks of writing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an artist for you, huh?
Right? Yeah. We all have like some way where we click, we get into that groove.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. What is your pick of the week, man?
So I came across 2 Chrome extensions this week that are basically identical, and I'm going to make my pick of the week the one that I think is better. The first Chrome extension I came across is called Honey, like, that bees make, honey. And then the second one is called Wikibuy. And Wikibuy, in my experience, is the better of the 2 extensions. They both essentially do the same thing. You install them in your Chrome browser, whether it's a Mac, a PC, whatever, and they will basically tell you if you go to buy something on Amazon or I think a few different retailers, this plugin will then quickly search the internet and find out where you can get that item that you're looking for cheaper. So I'm sure that there's all sorts of like privacy concerns that are coming up for people. I personally gave up that fight a long time ago. Whoever needs my information has already got it. They found it a long time ago. I think it's kind of fruitless to play that game if you're going to be a citizen of the internet. But I found it valuable. And like, I don't do much shopping online, and I definitely don't want to encourage people to go out and just buy stuff, because stuff is not the answer. I'm learning that as I declutter, go through that process. I'm like, man, all these things I bought that I didn't even use. It's just sitting in my closet. But if you're looking for something that's essential, this plugin's great because you'll pull up the thing on Amazon and it'll tell you where you can find it cheaper, how much you can save, or if you are getting the best deal on Amazon. So it's pretty cool. Wikibuy is the Chrome extension. Honey is also a good one, but I like Wikibuy a little better. So the link to Wikibuy is on our website. Cool. So that's Wikibuy, Chrome extension, plugin extension thing, and Prey by Michael Crichton. Great book. And I have to say, I think reading fiction is really important for your brain, for your empathy muscle, and just to sort of entertain yourself in a way that's somewhat demanding. It involves participation from your brain to entertain yourself with fiction. So just wanted to drop that in there from one book nerd to all the other book nerds listening. And AJ, I know you're a book nerd too. Let's be honest.
Closeted book nerd.
Yeah, I think that reading fiction is one of those things we can think of as a luxury, and I think it can be seen that way. But I also think it's kind of like good exercise, So do more of that this summer. Read some more fiction. Don't make it all nonfiction, people.
Yay!
All right. So that is it for episode 283 episode of Inside Acting. This was produced and co-hosted by me, Trevor Alcott, and you, AJ Meyer. Jen Levin is our production coordinator. Gadali Gubarek is our marketing and web director. Deborah Smith is our community manager. Grace Gordon is our director of public...
It's her birthday today.
It is her birthday. Happy birthday, Grace.
I was waiting for you to come across her name. I'm like, birthday girl.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like jump rope. I'm like, or like catch a train and jump on it.
Grace Gordon, our Director of Public Relations, and Fern Lim designed our logo. That was me that edited and mixed today's episode and composed the theme and interview music.
You can sign up for our weekly email dispatch and listen to all of our episodes over at our website, insideacting.net. You can also find us on social media and wherever you get your podcasts. If you've got a minute, please leave us a review in iTunes, the world's largest podcast aggregator, because that really helps us out a lot.
Big thanks to our sponsors, Rehearsal Pro and VO2GoGo.com, and a big thanks to you guys, our listeners. You make this thing happen. You can visit our website and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, get links to everything we've talked about in this episode, and if you'd like, and this is for big bonus points, you can support the continued production of this show with either a one-time financial contribution. You can just hop on PayPal or Venmo or Square and just send us a few bucks. One-off time, that's it. Would be awesome. Or you can sign up to contribute to us on a recurring basis every month as part of our membership. So all the details at our website. Just go over to insideacting.net to learn more and show us a little bit of love.
That's it for episode 283 of Inside Acting. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, find yourself in fiction.
That's so good, dude. That's really good.
Yeah, that's actually, speaking of Grace Gordon, that's a Grace Gordon thing. We were talking about like ways of trying to sort of basically create jobs for yourself. So if you read a lot like she does and like you do, you can find characters that sort of look and be like you in them. And if it hasn't been made into like a book or movie yet, like just pay attention to whoever owns, the rights and try to follow it. And she took that idea, or I gave her the suggestion of taking that idea to a whole nother level, because she is now going to be putting together a sizzle reel of 2 scenes that she wrote based on a character in a book series that she's in love with and wants to play the main character. I was like, you should just like write scenes and cast yourself now and start getting it out there. And if it becomes viral, then no one's going to be able to see anyone else as that character. And then she pooped herself and now she's doing it. So, yeah, pretty cool idea. I wish I would have talked about that before I said find yourself in fiction.